Pete Friedman, and this is the Wheaton Municipal Band. Please welcome, now beginning his 40th season, Dr. Bruce Moss. Hello, I'm Pete Friedman. Welcome to another special online video from the Wheaton Municipal Band. Although we're not performing this summer in Memorial Park, we want to assure you that we're still here. That's why we're posting new videos each week, to remind you why you've enjoyed our concerts and why audiences have been coming back year after year for 90 years. We look forward to performing for you again in person when it's safe to do so. But to get tonight's video going, here's the music director and conductor of the Wheaton Municipal Band, Dr. Bruce Moss.
I've certainly missed a lot of things that have become very routine for me in the summers. Walking out on stage to conduct the national anthem, special overtures and marches that we do that we know will be crowd pleasers and enjoyable for the band as well as the audience. Moving out from the dressing area with Pete Friedman, always at the same time, 7:27. 7:25 is too early, 7:30 is too late, but you can count on the fact that that door at City Hall will open right about 7:27 each Thursday, and Pete Friedman and I will be walking out. I've certainly missed all of the musicians that I am privileged to work with every week, and the officers, the friends of the Wheaton Municipal Band, my partner in crime, Pete Friedman, and our weekly phone calls to set up everything that's going to happen on a Thursday evening.
name is Rich Pollock. I have been with the Wheaton Band for, this would have been my 23rd season. My first full season would have been the summer of 1996.
Not only is Rich one of my favorite people that I've met in the educational world, he is someone who really kind of was my mentor when I first got into the group.
He's a rock star in the percussion section, and I know Andrew loves to have him join him in the section.
And not afraid to play percussion very loudly, which is what we need. It's perfect. It's very sensitive and very appropriate, but when it has to be loud, Rich will play loud. And that's what we need.
Him and Bar Holland are the band's proofreaders.
Rich is great. He's great. He does a great job. He has great ideas.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Well, and also I've judged for him for his solo ensemble stuff and whatnot, so I've seen the kids interacting with him and everything. He's a phenomenal teacher.
I had known about the Wheaton Band since high school, I think. I had gotten a job teaching in the metro area, and sort of one of the first things I thought of was, I have to take an audition. So I think that's what a lot of future music teachers think when they get their first teaching job is, well, I don't want to stop playing. How am I going to keep playing? How am I going to find avenues and outlets to continue playing? Well, for me, first thing, the Wheaton Band. I got to audition for the Wheaton Band. So 2 or 3 times that summer they called me to sub. I came out, made the drive out, loved it. The following year, I made the band as a regular member. That was back in the days when Bill Ludwig was a member of the percussion section, and Bill Ludwig he's iconic. I mean, his name's on the drum. The fact that I'm standing next to Bill Ludwig for 4 or 5 seasons before he stopped playing with the band was just, I was agape. I was so amazed that that a person of that stature was associated with it. And it sort of confirmed all the things that I had thought about the band, like, wow, this is everything I thought it was going to be. These people are just coming here to perform with this band because it's just the ultimate summer musical experience. My parents have been coming. I couldn't name a year that they started coming. It sort of organically evolved into them just being fixtures and staples front row center. So they're really missing the 2020 season. They really are. My grandfather was a professional musician. Back in the 20s, he had his own, he was a concertina player. So he had his own concertina orchestra, and kind of sort of a trendsetter back in the 20s in terms of playing live music and getting involved in the birth of the radio and things of that nature. I'm kind of the only member of the family who is sort of doing music as a career. I'm kind of the one family member who likes to carry on sort of that part of the Pollock family. And my dad likes to remind me of that all the time. Like, your grandfather would be so proud of you.
Now, to conduct Frank Tikelli's arrangement of Shenandoah, here is Rich Pollock.
A good piece of music, and a lot of it sparks a memory of whether it's a family member or whether it's somebody that you knew. There's a family element to it. Your family, whether it's your aunt or your grandfather or your parents, sort of have cultured in you, and now you do it. The history itself of the band is impressive.
There's a long history of the band before I started. 40 years seems like a long time, but remember the band started in 1930.
90 years, there's very few organizations that can claim a 90-year history, in their town. What would it have been like if you had been a musician in the Wheaton Band in 1959 or 1965, playing on that stage? Because it would have been the same stage in the same park for all those years. And there are from time to time my mind will wander and sort of be like, I wonder what the audience would have sort of been like. It probably would not have been much different than it is now. I mean, the lawn chairs may have changed, or the trees, have grown and this and that, but I think largely the look of what a concert would have been like back then is probably quite similar to the way it is now. Sort of connects to the whole time slows down idea, is that it's almost like in many respects time hasn't aged through all those years. There's something that sort of stays constant about the music in that park has stayed the same all these years. Are the people in our audience there solely for the music? I don't think so. There's comfort in knowing that there will be music in the park on every Thursday night during the summer. It started out as a reason for me to keep playing. It's more about getting to see people that I only get to see once a year, and that sense of community. It defines me to a degree as a musician and as a teacher. It's sort of one of the first things I kind of mention to people when they ask about, what do you do besides being a band teacher? Well, I play in this band in Wheaton all summer, and I couldn't imagine summer without it.
We were talking earlier about the If You Knew Sousa film, and one of the producers of that film was a gentleman by the name of Loris Schissel.
Right.
He works at the Library of Congress. The fact is, I think he is the head of the whole music division of the Library of Congress, and he is a Sousa expert.
Yes.
So he was here back in 1992, and since then I have come to know him very well. And a few years ago asked him to come out and conduct the Wheaton Municipal Band. And it was a most memorable event. I've asked
concert.
Jessica to provide some film footage, particularly.
He's also an expert in a lot of others, and in some ways he gets even more excited about other composers, but he knows Sousa he's the most popular and best known,
right?
And he's got the best stories about him.
I would call Loris Schissel a Sousa aficionado.
Yeah.
And for sure a Sousa expert. Lars Schissel is, I think, head of the music division of the Library of Congress, and a brilliant man.
Yeah.
On all counts, and just a wonderful band scholar and expert. And when he came to Wheaton, it was just a very special occasion, and we're going to have him back, by the way.
Oh, I hope so.
Absolutely.
At 8 o'clock this evening, I told you that this evening's guest conductor is unlike any we've had here before.
I knew that his name was associated with a lot of very very well-versed researcher on Sousa, but I had never heard of him, met him, knew his story. The summer of 2015, I think it was. I was like, oh great, well I'll learn a bunch about Sousa. And it was the complete opposite of that. He was charismatic, and his grasp of bands and bands within the context of American history is just incredible. I remember him telling the story about the Kennedy assassination and he was sitting next to one of the FBI agents or something at the funeral, and sort of one of the agents who was on duty of the car.
One of my hobbies, I guess you could say, or one of the things that I like to research on my own time is I've always been very interested in the music that was played during those 4 days, during those dark November days in 1963, and realized that was organized and put together literally in about 24 hours. And it was Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy that truly organized all of that, made the selections of the music and how things were going to run and all of those things. And I'm always reminded that people all over the world were watching this. This was the first televised incident of that magnitude that we all shared almost as a world community. Event itself and was seated there in sort of a VIP section, and was talking to a group of people and was explaining this sort of interest I had in the music played at President Kennedy's funeral. And there was an older gentleman I was chatting with, and he said, "It's funny you should mention that." He said, "I recall vividly riding in the car from the U.S. Capitol, stopping at the White House and going over to St. Matthew's Cathedral there in Washington that day." And he said, "I recall vividly Mrs. Kennedy leaning over to me and saying, 'Mr. Hill, would you roll down the window so that I could listen to the band music?'" Suddenly occurred to me at that point, I was talking to Secret Service agent Clinton Hill, who, for those of you who remember, was the man on the back of the car that day, those dark days in November of 22nd, 1963. And I put together this piece, and I've been playing it a lot this summer, and it never ceases to amaze me, music's incredible ability to take us back into time. And for those of you of a certain age, this music, I think, will be very palatable for you. As I interviewed so many people, from the men who carried the coffin, the casket team there at Arlington, to the man who was in charge of the Capstan horse, the horse with the boots turned backward, they all said the same thing to me. They said, "For months, I could not get out of my head the sound of those drums."
Yeah, that whole concert was amazing. Oh,
He was
he was unbelievable. The way he worked with the audience, the way he worked with us.
He inspired the crowd, and he's a true patriot. When I think of Loris, I think of just this larger-than-life sort of Washington band king.
I have have to tell you that I've been standing at this microphone for 33 summers, and this will go down as perhaps one of the more memorable concerts I have ever attended anywhere.
There are certain conductors that make you want to do your best.
And he's one of them.
He is one of them.
We have a lot of conductors that come in and out of the Wheaton Band over the years, and he definitely left a very indelible impression in terms of just everyone will remember the Laura Schissel concert.
On a night like this, we should remember that we're sitting in this park enjoying this music because for 200 and some odd years, men and women have joined our armed forces to defend those rights and those things that we maintain here in the United States so that we can do what we feel like and what we please on a night like this in Wheaton, Illinois, in the United States of America.
Pleasure, and what a shame it's taken so long to have you come back to Wheaton. I'm emotional. It's rare that we have I'm sorry. Whoops. It's rare that I can stand here and say, in front of all these friends, what a pleasure it is to work with such an outstanding organization. To have a conductor like Dr. Moss celebrating his 35th season. And so much of what you see and experience here is because of him and because of all these fine people up here.
I'm very blessed. I get to do this literally all over the world. And it's so wonderful to come here and do this in Wheaton. It's sort of like being, you remember The Wizard of Oz? Remember Dorothy, Kansas? And she had to take that tornado trip in the house and go all the way to Oz and go through all that business with the Wicked Witch and the Wizard and the Scarecrow and all that stuff, only to realize that everything she was looking for was right in her own backyard. It dawned on me last night, and it dawned on me particularly tonight, that you have a Wheaton Municipal Band in your very own backyard. And that's... do this probably 50 or 60 times in different places all over the world, and I can tell you this is one of the finest bands I've ever worked with, and you should be very proud. And the fact that it keeps going. You know, these things don't live, they're like a plant. You have to water them and feed them and take care of them, and I can see that you folks here in Wheaton do so. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you also to the band from the bottom of my heart for inviting me out here and letting us, not me, us, share great music with you tonight.
We're so glad that you have been able to join us throughout the summer for this series of concerts on the web. We weren't expecting this. Moving into the season, we were planning on a spectacular opening of the new shell and a season full of great guests, artists, and the wonderful Wheaton Municipal Band. But fear not, all of that will be coming next summer. We will be with you, and we will be stronger than ever. Count on it.
We hope you've enjoyed this video from the Wheaton Municipal Band. These are difficult and unprecedented times, but music can contribute to our happiness and well-being. Now more than ever, we need music and the arts in our lives. The Wheaton Municipal Band is a rare gift, and it's provided by the City of Wheaton. We are deeply grateful for the city's support, now in our 91st year. We also appreciate the support of local businesses, and we hope you'll thank them by giving them your business. And we thank our many audience members for their donations. We are all in this together, and together we will come back better than ever. And now, on behalf of Bruce Moss and the entire Wheaton Municipal Band, I'm Pete Friedman.